Formula One returns to the US and to one of the most famous tracks in the world, Indianapolis. We join Jim Rosenthal, Murray Walker and Martin Brundle for the United States Grand Prix.
It's been 9 years since Formula One ran in the USA. Now it's back. We're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's round 15 of the 2000 World Championship. Hello there, welcome to our review of the American Grand Prix. We're in for a three-race sprint for the title. Mika Häkkinen leading Michael Schumacher by just a couple of points. Now this new Indy track has been a huge hit with the drivers and the fans, and they're treated to a tactically fascinating qualifying session. Under heavy skies, the drivers queue up at the end of the pit lane to put a time in the bank before it rains. Häkkinen jumps to the front and sets the pace a few laps later. But Michael Schumacher proves he has the edge at new tracks by beating the McLaren's time comfortably. The rain holds off and the rest of the session sees a display of formation team tactics by Ferrari. They figure out one driver can get a tow from the other on the long straight. Barrichello punches a hole in Schumacher's air. The team leader goes quicker still. McLaren follow Ferrari's lead, with Coulthard drafting Häkkinen, but they just can't snatch the pole. Häkkinen helping Coulthard, even though it drops the Finn down to third. So then, Michael Schumacher slipstreaming his way to a seventh pole of the year, Coulthard alongside, Häkkinen lurking in third, Barrichello fourth. The Jordans of Trulli and Frentzen sandwich Button in the Williams, then Indy 500 winner Villeneuve eighth ahead of Deniz. Ninth, that's his best for 3 years. Ralf Schumacher out-qualified again in 10th, followed by Wirtz, Zonta, Verstappen and Salo, rows 6 and 7. Poor performance from Fisichella in 15th. Heidfeld 16, ahead of a miserable showing by the Jaguars. De La Rosa splitting Irvine and Herbert in 17th and 19th. Up the back again, Alesi and the Minardis of Mazzacane and Genet. Hold tight then for the United States Grand Prix with your commentators Martin Brundle and Murray Walker.
Michael Schumacher on the right, David Coulthard on the left. One light, two lights, three lights, and the American Grand Prix is go!
Coulthard jumped the start. Coulthard will get a jump start penalty for sure. He was rolling a long time before the lights, so he's in the lead at the moment, but I'm absolutely sure Coulthard jumped the start.
And look at Barrichello attacking Häkkinen, but it's Michael Schumacher. If Martin is right, effectively in the lead. David Coulthard in front at the present moment. Schumacher second, Häkkinen third, Barrichello in fourth position. Where he started, Jarno Trulli is still in fifth place. In sixth position, Jenson Button has held his place, but Jacques Villeneuve has come up ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, it looks to me, and the young Canadian who has won here at Indy is making a colossal fight of it as they come into Hulman Boulevard.
And Johnny Herbert on those slick tyres is last, absolutely plumb last, I believe now. So certainly those wets are doing the job in these early stages, but how long will they last?
Jump start under investigation. David Coulthard is being investigated by the stewards of the meeting. They will be looking at tapes of the start there to decide whether David has jumped it. If he has, as Martin said, of course, he's going to have a penalty.
Yes, I don't think they'll have to look at the tapes very long, unfortunately. Coulthard was definitely rolling as the lights changed, so that is a bit of a false lead for him at the moment, but he's very, very fast through the first part of this lap. Look at the cars moving around on that banking. The tyres squirm under that load. They're there to clear the water, not to lean on a 180-mile-an-hour long corner.
And who is the fastest man on the track as the Jordan there comes out and takes Ralph Schumacher?
Frentzen passes Schumacher, that's for 8th place. Frentzen then whistling up the inside into turn 1. You're going to see a lot of that this afternoon. They're carrying a lot of wing, but they can follow through those last 2 fast corners and get a tremendous slipstream on their way down to turn 1. 926 metres is the first pit straight.
And who has got the wing loadings and the tyre fuel combinations right? We've got a long way to see. We're on lap 2. David Coulthard still in front. Is he going to be penalised? Michael Schumacher is second. Look at now. Watch Coulthard on the left there, getting away early. Schumacher tucks in behind him. Mika Häkkinen remains second, and Rubens Barrichello fourth. But it may well be that Barrichello is effectively coming up to third position. There we are. There is confirmation to me that David Coulthard and both Jenson Button and Jarno Trulli have been off on the grass as we look again at the start.
Barrichello is in the pits. He's out of that picture. Look, he should be in the back of that shot we just saw. So Barrichello will be coming into the pit lane. And look at the toe that Michael Schumacher's got this side. Yeah. Coulthard goes to cover the line. Schumacher goes down the outside, and they just about touch. And once again, they're so close.
Yes! Fantastic, and the crowd has gone berserk. They might well be Italians rather than Americans. They appreciated that. They love to see a fight, and my gosh, they got one. Now, I bet Coulthard will move over and let Häkkinen through. Yes, that's exactly what he's done. He's done his job as best he could, knowing that he's under investigation. He's held Schumacher up as long as he has, that could. The German has fought past him brilliantly. Häkkinen has taken over the attack now, and I'm expecting Coulthard, if the stewards say thumbs down, to be in shortly.
Yes, it was very, very brave by Michael Schumacher, and I have to say, Coulthard making life as difficult as he could, and then played it fair. It would have been awful if Coulthard had bumped Schumacher out of there. It would not be the correct thing to do. That's not the sort of thing David would do. But he sure is going to make it as hard as he can. And Schumacher putting an enormous amount of faith in David Coulthard there with his championship chances. Incredible. Look at this. Squeezes Coulthard across the curve. They must have touched. That was so close.
Oh, now listen, the fastest man on the track at the moment is Johnny Herbert, down in 16th position in the Jaguar. He must have changed tyres. Indeed, he has changed tyres. No, he started on the dries. Remember, the conditions are getting right, and there's hot news from James Allen.
Mika Häkkinen is in the pits, as you can see, going to the slicks. All that excitement with the pass of Michael Schumacher. Rubens Barrichello put the slick tyres on when he made that stop. Now look at Jenson Button's times. He's 4 seconds alone faster in the first sector on the slick tyres. Michael Schumacher is going to have to make this switch very, very soon as well. It could be the opposite of what happened in Spa. McLaren reacting first to put their man on the slick tyres. Michael's got to get in very soon to make that switch too.
Yeah, Johnny Herbert is laughing. He started on dries. Remember, he's 44 seconds behind the leaders, but he'll make up a lot of time. He's not going to have to come in.
Yes, it costs you about 38 seconds in total to stop here. Car 2 has a 10-second stop and go penalty. And the real pain for Coulthard is he cannot change tyres, and Fisichella too. So Coulthard and Fisichella both with 10-second stop and goes, and they cannot change tyres when they're in the pits. They have to go round again.
So now we're on lap 8 out of 73 with Michael Schumacher 2 points behind Mika Häkkinen in the World Championship with 2 races to go after this. Just going through the puddles there as he goes into the banking.
He didn't go in the pits. I'm absolutely gobsmacked at that. He did not go in the pits. I really think that could be a tactical error there. So Coulthard is in the pit lane for his stop and go. I'm amazed. Mind you, it's a 23.8 from Michael. So he's actually, maybe he's right. He's still faster than the other guys who have already moved on to slick tyres.
Yeah, 1:24 has been the critical time for changing tyres. 1 minute 24 seconds. Here is David Coulthard taking his 10-second penalty. He came in from the top 3, and this is why he got it.
Yes, he's on the right side. He rolled initially, he reacted too fast, then tried to stop it and go again. Sometimes you can get away with that, but that was just a few metres too far there for Coulthard. James.
I think what Michael and Ferrari are trying to do now is build themselves a big enough cushion that they can get back out in front of Coulthard and Hakkinen, obviously, who are currently 31.6 seconds behind them on the road. Bear in mind what Ross Brawn said to me at the start, though, because the possibility of showers again, and I'm seeing a few spots of rain beginning to fall, so it's very much finely balanced, this.
Well, Michael Schumacher's just gone round in 1:23.7. Remember that magic figure, 1:24. And I must say this, while it's still relevant, in fourth position at the moment is the pride of Argentina, Gaston Mazzacane in the Minardi. He has not come in. Diniz has not come in. He is third in the Sauber. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is second, 13 seconds. And you're looking at Frentzen now behind Michael Schumacher. We're on lap 10 out of 73. And there is Pedro Diniz, third place, 5.5 seconds behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Schumacher, Frentzen, Diniz, Mazzacane, Hakkinen, who's been in, Coulthard back in.
Coulthard in for slicks, but I have to say, I was completely wrong. Michael Schumacher's got it aced, and he is still the fastest man on the track on wet tyres. Now, he was some 4 seconds faster than Hakkinen, who is on slicks, so Michael spotted it. The wets are not that bad after all.
Jarno Trulli in, and he's down in 21st place. Lap 14 out of 73. Michael Schumacher now still leads by 17 seconds on wet weather tyres, but Jenson Button now is the fastest man on the track. He's changed to dries, and so we can expect Schumacher to be in any time.
What you were watching there, and still Hakkinen has not passed Mazzacane. Mazzacane's in third place, and Mika Hakkinen, that's 2 consecutive laps. He's followed Mazzacane and can't seem to do anything about him. As Trulli goes straight on, it seemed as if the Jordan team brought out the wrong tyres, and he's out of the race anyway. But he sat there for ages and ages, and they had to change the tyres. It looked like they were putting wets on, and they should have had a set of slicks. Mika Hakkinen waving his arm. Maybe Mika doesn't realise, I mean, it's the first time ever he's racing that Minardi for position.
Yeah, it's the 7th retirement for Trulli this year, and Mazzacane is in third place. He's in a podium position. He's not going to give up. He should do, of course. Now, where are the blue flags, and why doesn't he watch them?
No, there are no blue flags, Murray. He's in third. He should not have a blue flag. As I said, Mazzacane's not used to having a McLaren behind him without seeing a sea of blue flags. He is racing for position. He is totally entitled to hold Hakkinen up as long as he can, as now Frentzen comes in from second place for his slicks. Mazzacane was definitely on wet. I had a look in that last shot, and Hakkinen is now completing his third lap behind the Minardi.
And the Jaguars are continuing to go well. Eddie Irvine, Marc Genet has just gone fastest in the first sector, and he's in the Minardi. Ralf Schumacher, the quickest man on the track. Now, listen to this. Michael Schumacher leads Frentzen by 43 seconds at the present moment. Schumacher is the only man of importance at the top not to have come in yet. Frentzen is 43 seconds behind him. Mika Hakkinen is now officially in third position. I'm waiting to see the shot. Where is Mazzacane? But Ralf Schumacher is the fastest of the lot. And there is Jenson Button. Look at his flat-spotted right front tyre. And he's out of the race.
Yeah, Michael has to come into the pits now. He's now starting to lose 1 to 2 seconds, and we understand that the Ferrari is in the pit lane. Yes, he is now, James.
A 43-second lead over Hakkinen. He will rejoin in the lead. Amazingly, Martin, he's putting new tyres on the right-hand side of the car and old ones, used ones, on the left-hand side of the car. Watch how long the fuel nozzle is on for. That'll tell you how much fuel they're putting in at 12 litres per second. Quite a bit of fuel. So quite a bit of fuel for Michael, so that will push him quite deep, 7 seconds, push him quite deep into the race before he makes the major stop. But what they learned here was what Button did in Germany. He went long on the wet tyres. They didn't blister, or rather they blistered, but it didn't matter on the pace. That's what Ferrari learned from that, and they've used it today. McLaren have not used that lesson.
Great thinking again. Out of the pit lane comes Michael Schumacher. He was leading by 43 seconds ahead of Mika Hakkinen when he came in. Mika Hakkinen is now really getting a spurt on. He's 16 seconds behind Michael Schumacher after they have both stopped. Ralf Schumacher is only 3 seconds behind Häkkinen and lapping faster than the McLaren in third place. Heinz-Harald Frentzen in fourth position. Remember, he's made his pit stop. Pedro Diniz still an excellent in fifth place in the Sauber. Jos Verstappen, the Dutchman in the Arrows, is sixth. And Ralf Schumacher is keeping up this blistering pace. He's gone faster again. He's closing the gap on Mika Häkkinen. Hopefully there they are in shot. Häkkinen on the left has just gone past Fisichella, who is in 20th place, and Ralf Schumacher will be vying to do the same thing.
After his 10-second stop and go, and then having to come in next time around for slicks, Coulthard down in 14th place. So the only man not to visit the pit lane so far as we're into lap 17 is Johnny Herbert, 8th place man, the only man we think that was brave enough to start on the wet tyres.
Jacques Villeneuve there fighting with Barrichello. Only one Ferrari in the top six, only one McLaren in the top 6 point scoring position. Villeneuve fighting Barrichello, and behind Barrichello is Pedro de la Rosa. The Arrows are 6th and 10th.
New fastest lap for Ralf Schumacher, still flying a 1:19.0. I'm sure it'll come up on the screen. Johnny Herbert has now passed Villeneuve and homing in on Verstappen and Diniz. Johnny needing to impress the American racing scene. He wants to drive in IndyCar, and there goes Johnny past Diniz, and that is for 6th place. No, he doesn't quite make it stick, and don't turn in on his nose, Pedro, and Johnny lives for another day. But that's for 6th place they're squabbling. Johnny having a great race.
Yeah, the man from Romford, Johnny Herbert, who so badly smashed his feet in 1988 in that dreadful Formula 3000 race at Brands Hatch. He's never walked the same since, but he drives magnificently, and as you can see, he's attacking to get the Jaguar up into the points by getting past Pedro Diniz. But ahead of both of them is Jos Verstappen, and here is Herbert ducking and diving behind the Sauber. Pedro Diniz very sensibly keeping to the and off goes. There, Johnny Herbert goes off.
No, Diniz
Sorry,
went off.
Diniz
Johnny
goes
went
off,
through.
yeah.
So
Diniz goes off. Barrichello's now attacking him.
Diniz comes back on in front of fellow countryman Rubens Barrichello, or Ruby as they call him over here on the American commentary. I'm sure he'd be pleased with that one, but he certainly won't be pleased with this race. But Diniz locking the inside as he turned into turn 10 there and sailing straight onto the grass where there's even less grip. Johnny says thank you very much.
Now, we didn't see whether Barrichello got past him, but it means that Johnny Herbert is up.
There it is now. That's Barrichello getting a good slipstream off of Diniz, and he should have the line into the first corner. He goes back for a second helping of tow and catapults past Diniz. That was smart thinking there by Rubens. Pulled out of the slipstream, hit a brick wall of aerodynamic drag, ducked back in again and launched one up the inside. Nice move there, Rubens.
Haven't seen much of what's happening at the front here. Is the answer Michael Schumacher, lap 19 out of 73. Mika Häkkinen is going quicker at the present moment. He's 9.7 seconds behind the Ferrari and closing. Ralf Schumacher is third. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is fourth. Jos Verstappen is fifth. You've seen Johnny Herbert attacking, and off goes Mika Salo in the Sauber. He's had a very rotten time in practicing. He was 16th, he's out of the race.
Häkkinen 7/10 up in the mid-sector of this lap, so the gap is going to be well under 5 seconds. The start-finish line is quite a long way down this straight. 16.6 for Michael, 15.7 for Häkkinen. The gap is down to 4.1 seconds. Häkkinen is sustaining this charge. James, what can you tell us?
Michael Schumacher at that stop, the hose was on for 6.4 seconds. He took 25 laps with the fuel on board, so I reckon he's fueled to about lap 50 something. But I think Häkkinen has got less fuel on board, possibly about 15 or 20 kilos less. That's about 4 or 5 laps. So what Häkkinen has to do in this phase of the race before he makes his stop is get on terms with Michael Schumacher and hopefully get in front of him. It's the only way he's going to be able to win it.
Thanks for that, James. We're looking at Jos Verstappen in the orange arrows with Johnny Herbert in 6th place right behind him. They're coming up to a slower car. I think it's Fisichella in the Benetton, and it may well be that if Verstappen gets his timing wrong to get past the Benetton, Johnny Herbert will see his opportunity to move up from one. Oh, and there is Mika Häkkinen with his car on fire. Mika Häkkinen with the McLaren on fire. Yes, Yes, he's going to have to come in, no doubt about that. Oh, this is tragic luck for the McLaren team and Mika Häkkinen. And if Michael Schumacher can stay out there, it is going to put him in a commanding lead for the World Championship. Oh, Mika Häkkinen crawls in. Schumacher pulling away, of course, all the time. Ralf Schumacher goes up into second place as I talk to you, and as Mika Häkkinen comes in undoubtedly on lap 27 to retire from the USA Grand Prix. And that is only his third retirement of the year. Out in Australia, out in Brazil, and it couldn't have happened at a worse place here.
Yes, I think that's the first time we've seen a McLaren fail, probably in 22 starts, something like that, or 24 starts between the pair of them. Such an unusual sight these days. Both the front runners have had great reliability, Ferrari and McLaren. McLaren probably even better. And look, it's really, there must be a hydraulic or oil line that's come adrift in there. And
bit of a fire marshal wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, exactly. And the mechanics are down there. Häkkinen made it just into the beginning of the pit lane. Sensible to stop it early. You don't want to go in where you know there are 22 fuel rigs sitting. So Häkkinen stops it early, and that is a huge dent in his chances of a third World Championship.
Well, let's just consider the situation. Mika Häkkinen was 2 points ahead of Michael Schumacher in the World Championship. If, capital I, capital F, if Michael Schumacher wins this race, he will get 10 World Championship points, which would put him 8 points ahead of Mika Häkkinen with 2 races to go. Japan in 2 weeks, Malaysia in 4 weeks. The German is certainly looking good, but we're on lap 28. It's a 73-lap race. Anything could happen.
Yes, it's such a shame for you, the viewers, and the 250,000 people here, because that was shaping up to be a great squabble there between the two finest drivers in Formula One at the moment. Now we've got 3 Germans in the top 3. Looks like a good day for Germany at the moment. Not a great day for the British mob, although where's Herbert gone? Herbert has fallen down to 13th. He's in the pits as we talk. That's obviously for his first scheduled stop of the afternoon, and a major drama there. They're changing the front wing. So are they, and he doesn't look damaged in any way. That's going to cost Johnny 20-30 seconds. There goes his World Championship points almost certainly. What a shame. I don't know what was the problem with it. Häkkinen there, back into the pits, looking at his car and reflecting on what may have been there. Shame for Herbert. He's dropped out of the picture. So top Brit at the moment is Irvine in 9th, and Coulthard chasing him, level with him as they went over the start line. 0.0 between them, off out of our view, but Coulthard in 10th.
As Michael Schumacher goes into turn 1 at the end of that 210-mile-an-hour straight on his 34th lap out of 73, leading Ralf Schumacher, his brother, by 14.5 seconds.
Yes, Michael's stretching it out now. That was his fastest lap of the race so far, the previous lap. Now beginning to pull away from Ralf. Ralf looks like he's been on a rally, doesn't he? I think there must have been quite a few cars off from that first lap, dragging mud back onto the racetrack, and the aerodynamics just trail it down the side of the car. Several of the cars out there looking a little bit scruffy, and we're not even at halfway point yet.
I'm mighty impressed, Martin, by the arrows. Jos Verstappen in 4th place, De La Rosa in 8th position. They've got the excellent Supertech engine. It's a very slippery motor car, thanks to Egbal Hamady and Mike Coughlin's design work on it. And they have a very small budget compared with the teams ahead of them. And Ralf Schumacher tiptoeing round the corner there.
Yes, you saw in the background the Jaguar, I believe that was of Johnny Herbert. Remembering, he was absolutely flying. That nose change he had to have, I just couldn't see a reason why, but there must have been one, has put him down to 17th and last but one, unfortunately. So sterling effort from Johnny Herbert in the early part of the race. The only man who started this race on slick tyres, got up into 6th place, was flying still, but unfortunately now down in 17th.
Well, we're getting towards a half distance. Half distance is about 35, 36 laps. We're on lap 35 at the present moment. And Michael Schumacher just must be praying for reliability, because he's got a comfortable 15-second cushion between himself and his brother. He's 33 seconds ahead of Frentzen, who is in 3rd place. Everybody has been in at least once. Fisichella's been in twice. Mika Häkkinen, of course, has been in twice. The second visit was to retire. Jarno Trulli made a couple of stops before he retired. Retirements in the order that they left the race. Jarno Trulli was out first, then Jenson Button. Mika Salo retired, the Sauber, and the most important retirement from the point of view of the World Championship, Mika Häkkinen, and he is well and truly out of the race. No points at the present moment for McLaren because David Coulthard is down in 9th place.
Yes, well, and that was Fisichella spinning off. He's already had a stop-and-go penalty, so he's not in the action. There he is trying to correct it. But Johnny Herbert did, in fact, have a damage right-hand front corner of his wing. That's why they changed it. And we believe also Verstappen is in the wall somewhere, and it's going to be somewhere close to that.
Here it is. This will be a replay, and it is coming up to turn 8. There's Fisichella spinning.
But at the bottom of the screen, Murray, I think we just saw Verstappen losing the tail end of the car. So this is Coulthard shaping up one more time at the back of that Arrows. He's got to get some kind of supersonic slipstream because he's carrying more wing than the Arrows, and as he pulls out he will hit a barn door, and still Coulthard cannot get close enough, and there is the end result of Verstappen. I think he locked the rears on the way in to turn 8, and he's made it as far as the wall across the slippery grass.
Obviously okay, making sure his steering wheel was put on again as per regulations. Now let's have a look at this replay as David Coulthard comes up behind the Arrows.
I think we're back live on this one, but I've crashed a couple of Tom Walkinshaw's cars like Verstappen just has done, and he's not a pretty sight when you get back to the pits. He seems to be even wider and sterner than normal when you get there, I have to say.
Well, David Coulthard fighting for 7th position at the moment, and he's still 2 places away from a single World Championship point, and to get it, he's got to get past De La Rosa and Pedro Diniz, who is in 6th place, last World Championship point scoring position. Rubens Barrichello, of course, has moved up to 5th position. Good news for Ferrari as a result of Verstappen going out, so he's on a potential 2 points, with Michael Schumacher's 10 making 12. Jacques Villeneuve is in 4th place in the BAR, lapping faster than Frentzen.
Look at this time, Coulthard, if ever closer. Now this must surely be his chance. If he can't do it on this, I wonder how David's ever going to find enough straight line speed. There's just no way through there. Coulthard really now struggling behind that car. We've got some strange lap times going on there. Fastest 2 men on the track last time around, Villeneuve and Barry. Look, and Coulthard makes it through. De La Rosa running wide in 3, Coulthard squeezing through, and that was a key one for David because that Arrows is so fast in a straight line.
And off goes Ralf Schumacher momentarily, 17 points behind the leader in 2nd place.
17 seconds behind the leader, and I don't think it would have cost Ralf too much there. I think he just scampered down the grass.
Have you ever seen so many people at a Formula 1 Grand Prix before? The answer is no, because there haven't been as many. Massive crowd. David Coulthard again. Attack. This could be his opportunity into the bank, turn 13. Right up behind Pedro Diniz's Sauber. He can pull through and get past now. Pedro de la Rosa sees his opportunity. Pedro Diniz shuts the door, having a go.
Now David's gone up the inside. He had to have a second go at the slipstream again, and as long as he doesn't outbrake himself, he has a clear run. Good manoeuvring there for David. He's just got the McLaren just is not fast enough in a straight line, but he's using the others. Isn't it great to see them really being able to follow each other so closely at 200 miles an hour? There must have been, what, a half a metre between them, less than that. And Coulthard having to go for a second helping of tow to get track position. Nicely done. That releases him now towards Barrichello in 5th place.
So now, Mr. Producer, please let us have a look at Jacques Villeneuve and Heinz-Harald Frentzen, because Villeneuve in the BAR, and there, thank you very much, he must have heard me, because he's closed right up on Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and Barrichello is right behind him. This is the battle for 4th place. Villeneuve 4th, and what is Ralf Schumacher doing? Into the pits?
It looks like a regular stop, doesn't it? And just coming in for, remember he stopped quite early in the race, so Ralf should be fueling, quite a long fuel stop I'd imagine, should be fueling him now right to the end of the race as he comes in from 2nd place. And look, all that scampering across the grass really does make it look even more of a rally car.
Yeah, and Frenson's gone up into second place with Villeneuve right behind him. Barrichello next. Then Ralf Schumacher has rejoined. David Coulthard in the points. Fastest man on the track. 1 minute 15.042. Fight, Ralf, to get your place back.
Bad news there for Ralf Schumacher. As he came out, Diniz and Della Rosa went through, so Ralf was going to come in somewhere around 8th place until the others make their pit stops.
Look at this. This is the battle for second place. Frenson in the yellow Jordan, Villeneuve in the white BAR, Barrichello fourth in the Ferrari, and spin for spin, and it's Jacques Villeneuve lost his position to Rubens Barrichello, but Louise Goodman down there can tell us what happened to Johnny Herbert.
I can indeed, Murray. What happened is when Johnny came in for his pit stop, he actually locked up and clipped a couple of the mechanics. The mechanics were okay, but unfortunately one of them dropped the wheel gun actually on the front wing, and the front wing got broken. That's why you saw the mechanics changing that front wing, and that's why Johnny's dropped down a bit.
And the McLaren mechanics are out in the pit lane for David Coulthard in 5th position. 47 seconds behind Michael Schumacher, ahead of Pedro Diniz. Ralf Schumacher is 7th. Remember, he was 2nd for a long time. Eddie Irvine is now 8th. And in comes David Coulthard, James Allen.
Yeah, it's a rough break for David Coulthard. He was going really strongly, but it probably explains his pace. They're going to fuel this car to go through to the finish. He's in a similar situation to Ralf Schumacher, but I have a hunch with Ralf that he was probably on a 2-stop strategy. Started 10th on the grid, and he was trying to make up places. But Coulthard's going to lose a lot of places here, 9.6. He'll probably rejoin about 11th place. Bad news for him.
Yeah, well done, James. That's exactly where he's rejoined, because Alesi's gone past him, and Heidfeld, Genet, and Ricardo Zonta.
And this is going to be a good one down into the first corner. Barrichello just... No, which Ferrari is that? That's Michael Schumacher, so effectively lapping David Coulthard. Schumacher yet to stop for his fuel.
That's Ralf Schumacher. Ralf Schumacher
unscheduled
in again for his 3rd stop.
Yeah, unscheduled stop there for Ralf. They're applying something to the side of the car. I think it's compressed air or something like that. They're having to recharge, I believe, the compressed air system for the pneumatic valves, and that is why Ralf is in the pits. Definitely a very much unscheduled stop there, and 24 seconds to boot.
As Giancarlo Fisichella, Gino Fisichella as he's called here, is in 17th position entering the pit lane, and his teammate Wurz, as a matter of interest, is 15th. This circuit has not at all suited the Benettons. They have just not been able to get grip. Barrichello can and does, as does Frenson. Now out of turn 11 into turn 12. This is the flyer, 155 miles an hour. Building. Now let's listen to the revs. And into the pits comes Michael Schumacher with a lead of 45 seconds. He should be able to get in, take on fuel, change tyres, get out, still in the lead, James Allen.
Yeah, I think the reason for this is simply safety. He was about to catch up to Zonta and Diniz. Traffic that's moving quite quickly in 6th place, I think it is. So just a bit of caution really on Ross Brawn's part. Get him out safely. Looks pretty good at the moment. Of course, he also, 7.7 seconds, also got the wave yellow flag still on the main straight. So he just wanted to get him through there nicely, and smart thinking, I think.
Here, immaculate stop, just under 8 seconds, keeps the limiter on to not exceed the speed limit in the pit lane. Rejoins the circuit, still in the lead. We wait for Frenson and Barrichello to come through. They should now be about 20 seconds behind the lead Ferrari.
Ferrari and Jordan in the pit lane, so we're expecting them both in this lap.
Yeah, and it's going to be critical. Can Barrichello make a faster stop than Frenson? They're going to come in and stop virtually together. Frenson comes in, Barrichello does not. So now, if the Jordan mechanics can make an absolutely superlative stop and the Ferrari mechanics cannot for Barrichello, it's likely that they'll both do well. It could change the positions as Mazzacani comes in, and Villeneuve is right up with Barrichello, who is now in 2nd place.
James, what can you tell us?
Fantastic bluff there by the Ferrari team. They came out, made Jordan react, and they just, as soon as Rubens went straight on, they just came back in again, casual as you like. Meanwhile, the Jordan team have obviously made their stop. Rubens can go a couple of laps longer, put the hammer down, and maybe he'll pass him out on the track anyway.
Ferrari first, Ferrari second, Jordan third, that's Frentzen, Villeneuve fourth, Coulthard fifth, and is sixth.
Yes, Ralph, as we suspected, did have a loss of pressure, and Barrichello there across the puddle. He's in just past the 120-kilometre speed limit. It's 780 metres in total from one end of the speed limit to the other. James.
Guys, it's absolutely hilarious the way they pulled this bluff on Jordan. What's Barrichello, how's he gained? Well, 6 seconds he's made over Frentzen in the last 2 laps alone. He should comfortably rejoin in second place. Brilliant pit work, great tactics by the Ferrari team.
Yes, I'm looking down towards turn 13. There is no sign yet of Heinz-Harald Frentzen as Rubens Barrichello goes up to what there is. Now, I'm always very cautious about Jordans and Minardi's. They're both painted yellow, but whichever it is, Rubens Barrichello has joined ahead, and it was a Minardi followed by a Jordan. So Rubens Barrichello has made what we presume to be, unless he has bad luck, his last pit stop. And Villeneuve is certainly fighting, is he not? Look at the way he closes on Frentzen.
Yes, he's been a lot faster this last 3 or 4 laps. Great drive here from Villeneuve, notwithstanding that slightly careless spin. A bit unfortunate, he just got a wheel on the grass and it plucked him round. Coulthard is quicker than the lot of them, but he's 12 seconds behind Villeneuve with 15 laps to go. So Coulthard really has, I don't think he's got enough time to get up there and join that scrap for third place. Denitz there in 6th place, starting to come under pressure from Zonta in the white BAR there, the final World Championship point of the afternoon. At the moment anyway, at least between Denitz and Zonta, and Denitz coming under pressure.
Yeah, and it looks to me like, if they stay where they are, the best race that BAR have ever had, because potentially they've got Jacques Villeneuve finishing 4th, potentially they've got Zonta finishing 6th, if he can catch and get past the Sauber that we're looking at of Pedro Diniz. And that would be their first ever finish in a race with both their cars in the points. And Diniz goes into the pits, and Zonta does move up a place into the points, into 6th position. Now, he stopped twice. Pedro Diniz has already stopped twice. So it is looking good for BAR, as Schumacher, who has lapped everybody up to Zonta, who is 6th, goes through. This is the battle, and what a battle, for 3rd position between the Jordan of Heinz-Harald Frentzen and the car we are riding with, that of Jacques Villeneuve, the BAR. And as I was saying earlier on, it's very important to Villeneuve for all sorts of reasons, political, practical and personal, that he gets ahead of Frentzen, because Frentzen has got a semi-works Mugen Honda engine, and BAR have got a works Honda engine. They will want to beat their Japanese rivals, especially as Jordan has got the works Honda engine next year.
Yes, and Villeneuve there's got a nasty case of understeer developing, and that's holding him up through the complex, through the infield, but still he's able to be that little bit quicker than Frentzen, but he just cannot get enough of a slipstream down the main straight. Here's another opportunity. They do not lift the throttle for over 22 seconds, and he's just sitting there. You just never seem to have enough horsepower, however much you've got. And this time Jacques has got a nice toe, and I'm sure Jacques can be the last of the late breakers if he needs to be, but there's not a lot between the Mugen Honda and the Honda, is there? And he takes a dive up the inside, yes, and he's going to go wide. That's the problem. He's going to have to take to the grass. There is an escape road there, would have cost him a lot of time, and that really, now we'll see how fast Jacques is, see if he can close that gap straight back up again. But the only thing he could do was a big stab up the inside.
Well, he tried, and he was right to try. He's tried before this season and taken somebody off. Here's a replay. Coming up to turn 1, they're doing about 210 miles an hour as they close. Villeneuve goes through, runs wide onto the grass, loses traction, does well to keep the car pointing straight and not go up the escape road. And of course now Frentzen has massively increased the gap between himself and the BAR, which is back on the track.
Yeah, tad ambitious that one there, Jacques. I think it came from about 3 car lengths back, and that's the net result. I think he had to have a go, but he was just a little bit too late on the brakes. I think he could have made it, he just braked too late.
Race order top 10. Michael Schumacher leads his Ferrari teammate Rubens Barrichello by 30 seconds. Frentzen is 8 seconds behind them. Off spins the Prost. John Alesi. Third position, Heinz Frentzen. Fourth, Villeneuve. David Coulthard is fifth. Zonta is sixth. Eddie Irvine in the Jaguar is seventh. Alesi, who has just spun, is out of the race, so up into eighth position goes his teammate Nick Heidfeld, and in 10th position is Pedro Diniz.
Yes, that's the engine seizing up there, and Alesi trying to clear the track, trying not to leave oil on the racing line, the pro that he is, but I think the engine seizes basically and puts him off the road.
So, and off goes Michael Schumacher.
What on earth is he doing? That's amazing. Michael half asleep. He's got plenty of lead left to get away with that, but Michael obviously just falling asleep a little bit with his cruise and off onto the grass. Absolutely amazing. He had a 26-second lead last time around. That's cost him 4 or 5. Turns into the hairpin look, goes on the grass on the way in, and that's exactly the part that caught out Jacques Villeneuve earlier on. Just dips the right-hand wheel on the grass at the same time as applying the throttle, and Schumi half asleep. That'll wake him up.
David Coulthard there, out on his own. The man who won in Britain, the one who won brilliantly at Monaco and the French Grand Prix. 3 victories this year, third in the World Championship. He's going to close the gap between himself and Mika Hakkinen, but since that gap was some 17 points, it's not going to make a lot of difference.
Yeah, I think it was 19. I hate to tell you also, Villeneuve and Zonta finished 4th and 6th in the very first race of the year to give them a BAR, 2 cars in the top 6, but can Villeneuve make it the first podium, I believe it would be, ever for the BAR team?
Yes, indeed, it would be, and they all deserve to do well, the Formula One constructors. They all try massively hard, they all work all-nighters when they have to, they all spend an enormous amount of money, and no, none of them fail to deserve success. BAR have had a particularly torrid introduction to Formula One last year, and they richly deserve that third place, which would be Jacques Villeneuve if he can only get past Heinz-Harald Frentzen. But he hasn't got long to do it, because Michael Schumacher is now on his last lap but one. Each lap 2.6 miles long, so he's got less than 5 miles now as I talk to you, and how Villeneuve is trying. He's throwing caution to the winds. He's going to get right up behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen and then pressure the German right to the last knockings, and he's still on it. Look at him.
Yeah, a bit leery there from Jacques, but it worked out quite well. He managed just to get the nose into the corner somehow as they now head into turn 8, a little short squirt into 9, and this is where Jacques is very fast, even though he spun there earlier on. Or I should say more, Frentzen seems slow through there, and Jacques has got a great chance of getting in the slipstream as Michael Schumacher commences his final tour, Murray.
Michael Schumacher is on lap 73 out of 73 to come home and win, if he can just do this last 2.5 miles, a truly historic race. The first Formula One Grand Prix ever to be held at the fabled Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which has seen so much fantastic action from American drivers, American cars, Brazilian drivers, British drivers, Scottish drivers. Let us not forget that Graham Hill won here and Jackie Stewart won here, but it's going to be a marvellous victory for Michael Schumacher. And remember how he jumps up with joy on the victory podium. Well, we're going to be seeing the biggest leap of all if he just gets through these final few yards left. He tiptoes round to turn 10, goes underneath the banner into turn 11. This is where the really fast part of the circuit begins, and Michael Schumacher can coast home now. This is going to be his 7th win of the year to put him back into the lead of the Drivers' World Championship, and in so doing to take Ferrari there as well in the Constructors' Championship. Yes, victory for Schumacher. Now, the gap between himself and Rubens Barrichello, his teammate, had closed to under 13 seconds on the previous lap. There's Barrichello crossing the line to make it 16 points for Ferrari. First, Ferrari second. Now, who's going to be third?
Frentzen's over the line. No, yes, Frentzen has already gone over the line, look. He took the third place from Villeneuve, and they ended up just 17 seconds behind Michael Schumacher in the end. They were they're closing that gap. Remember, Michael on a coast, then had a spin. But what a great race for Ferrari. This was the great unknown of the championship year. But whatever happened, they went out there and just won the race.
And the Ferrari team are rushing down now to the Parc Fermé position to greet their heroes home after another massive, well-deserved and historic victory.
What a popular winner. Back-to-back victories for Michael Schumacher, his 42nd career victory. And that takes him above Ayrton Senna's mark and puts the German in great shape to win another world title.
David, electric start, a little bit too electric.
Yeah, I was all wound up, ready to go. Unfortunately, the lights didn't change. You know, you get used to a rhythm of when you expect them to change, because obviously you're trying to anticipate, and it seemed to me that they were a bit longer than normal, but the rules are rules, and, you know, I had to accept the punishment.
It's amazing. First time down here in America for me. First time in Indy, being the man who won the race. It means a lot to me, I have to say. It's simply a great feeling.
And here's the Drivers' Championship then. Michael Schumacher 8 clear of Häkkinen, Coulthard getting a couple of points, and Barrichello moving up into the 50s, and a real double whammy. In the Constructors, Ferrari's 16 points, taking them 10 clear of McLaren. Their first retirement, by the way, since Brazil 12 races ago. Blank day for Williams, no change for Benetton, and Jordan and BAR neck and neck. The McLaren's first breakdown for a dozen races could cost Häkkinen very dear.
It could do, Jim, and it is a rare occurrence, let's say, because they are genuinely such strong cars, and look at that, such a shame. He was leading that championship by 2 points after that brilliant fight back in the second half of the year, and Häkkinen has been mighty. But he said, you know, lost power somehow, and it's easy for one of those engines to let go. You have to remember, it's been stressed on this very long straight, over 24 seconds flat out. There's the result, and a big dent to the championship hopes. A body blow for Mika Häkkinen, where he's trying to go for his third consecutive world championship, and only Fangio has done that.
Bit of an unscheduled Barbie then for Mika Häkkinen, an unscheduled spin late on for Michael Schumacher when he was going for a Sunday afternoon drive and got a bit dozy, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he loves hunting down his prey. You know, he loves chasing, he loves making up the gaps between the pit stops. He likes driving on the edge. If you're being told to slow down and slow down, when he's ahead, that's always when he's fragile. He did it in '98, the Argentine Grand Prix, just the same, and he flew off the end of the road. Luckily, you know, he got that clutch in really quick and got it back. Otherwise, it could have been all over for him, and he would still be 2 points behind the championship. As it is, +8.
He was none too pleased at David Coulthard holding him back.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but that's part of the game, and I think David Coulthard was playing a very, very good team game here, and it's been team tactics throughout qualifying, giving each other's toes clearly in the race. Coulthard had been up there by virtue of Häkkinen giving him the toe. He had a job to do, and he was doing it very, very well. It was Schumacher that puts the squeeze on there, determined. Look at him turning right across. A very, very risky thing to do when you're behind in the championship. Nonetheless, it was fabulous to watch. It was a great manoeuvre by Schumacher.
And here's your complete rundown. Michael Schumacher, F1's first Indy winner. Barrichello second, Ferrari's third clean sweep of the year. Frentzen just holding off the charging Villeneuve. Coulthard fifth with the fastest lap. Zonta sixth, both BARs in the points. Irvine the first Jaguar home. Deniz eighth, Heidfeld making the top 10. Wirtz had a good weekend for him. Herbert 11th after that promising start, and Genet the last classified finisher. Alesi's engine blew late on. Mazzacani lasted 60 laps. He was third at one time. Hydraulics finally finished Ralf Schumacher. Fisichella won't treasure his Indy debut. De La Rosa's gearbox failed. His Arrows teammate Verstappen spun out. Häkkinen blew out on lap 25. Salo spun before that. Button's race ended early, and Trulli's drive shaft went on lap 12. So then it is next stop Japan in a couple of weeks' time. One or two early starts for you as well. We are live from 4:30 a.m. on the Saturday morning. That show repeated 10:45 on the Saturday. The race live, build-up starting at 6 on the Sunday, repeated 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon, and highlights at 11:45. Since the race, the bookmakers have done a complete somersault. Now it is Michael Schumacher, not Mika Häkkinen, who is odds-on to win F1 2000. Good night to you all.
There is Mika Häkkinen with his car on fire.
F1 on ITV in association with Texaco.
It was showdown.